Was a little disappointing the other day while visiting near the Kotel. They have a museum of the different utensils of the Bet HaMikdash. It's quite fascinating to see also how the incense, they have every one of the spices and the different artifacts. Amongst them, obviously, is the menorah. And what was disappointing is the shape they made it in. But before I discuss the disappointment, let's first say thank you to God for the disappointments of the past, that we're still in exile, and for the prayer of any second now the redemption. So my friends, join me in chapter 100. Mizmor l'soida orila Adonai kol haaretz ivdas Adonai b'simcha boi lefanav b'nona de'uki Adonai u'elim hu asanu v'lo anach na'am b'tzom marisoi boi yishor b'soida chatzoreisa b'silo hoido lebacho shemoi ki tov Adonai le'lam chasdo v'yador v'odor emunasoi. Let us also give some tzedakah. I'm sure you have a pushkid home. Let's put in some charity. And now let me tell you what I'm talking about. Although I've spoken about it in the past, but it's something which is worthwhile to discuss again. The menorah, the candelabra. So many things that we can learn from it. So I will just briefly discuss this again. The shape of the menorah. We're so familiar with the shape of the menorah, like rounded, which is basically a depiction from the infamous Gate of Titus, where there is a depiction of how the Jewish people are going into slavery after the destruction of the temple, and they're carrying off the menorah. But that's a mistaken design. It says clearly in the Chumash, Rashi says that clearly, and interesting, Maimonides actually made a design, and he shows it clearly that it is angular. It is not rounded. Now the Rabbi spoke about it many times and pointed out why depicting something that comes from the enemy of the Jewish people that destroyed the temple, reminding us of going into exile, and they're making the wrong design rather than using the design that Rashi says, that the Rambam says. And it's so sad. Why relying on something which is wrong? Especially since it's reminding us the exile rather than the redemption. So that's just one point. But I want to point out a few other most fascinating things that we can learn from the menorah. The menorah had 6 branches, 3 and 3 in the middle. The flames were all going towards the center. Miraculously. Flames always burn straight. That's the nature of flames, and as it's explained in Chassidus, because everything goes to its source, and the source of fire is behind the moon, so that's going up, gravitating towards its source. Here, miraculously, it burned towards the inside. To point out, those different branches represent different branches of the Jewish people. Different characters, different expressions, different, obviously all of them based on values of the Torah, mitzvahs, proper values. We're not talking those branches that break away from Judaism and create a new religion. We're talking about proper Judaism, but there is different customs, Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Chassidim, Beis Yosef, the Ramah, etc., etc. All those different expressions. We have to remember, we're all burning towards the center. The center is going straight. The center flame was going straight, and we're all burning, we're all going towards unification of the center, because that's what the menorah actually represents. The menorah represents the unity of the Jewish people. In fact, the way it had to be made, it couldn't be different pieces put together. It had to be from one piece of gold. Mikshachas, one big piece of gold, and the whole thing was sculptured from this one piece, representing how we're all one. And that's the beauty of it. And here's another very interesting point. Among the different designs which were on the menorah, there was the flowers, and there were cups. Now, one looks at a cup. Normally, we look at a cup, A cup is going upwards, the narrow part on the bottom, the higher, the bigger part open, and we enjoy for drinking. This case, they were actually going this direction, going downwards. What's the idea? That doesn't sound like a cup. It's more like something to pour, a bottle to pour, a funnel. What's the idea of having the cup upside down? So the Rabbi points out the following. The whole idea of the menorah is to bring light. To bring light there where it's dark. And therefore the cups are also representing us. That we have to understand, we have to appreciate, we must share with the other. We have give the other. The light, spiritual light, financial help, whatever it is. But togetherness means sharing.